Hello and welcome back to All My Life. I am your host, Emma.
And my name is Ryan.
And we are excited today to welcome Hannah Quense.
Woohoo! I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Hannah works with us at the national office. And yeah, we've gotten to work together a lot over the past couple of years. And something really fun about Hannah is that she's really good at throwing themed parties. It is truly a gift.
Yes, I think it's like a gift of the Holy Spirit, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a gift to everyone who gets to come and dress up and have fun. So Hannah, what has been like your best themed costume party?
Oh, there have been so many. It all started with a 90s party. We did a zombie Dawson's Creek escape room, a Harry Potter party, which was many years in the coming. So that was probably the most epic. But most recently, we did an Avatar: The Last Airbender themed party, and it was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Who did you dress up as?
I dressed up as Katara. So I had hair loopies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What is a Katara?
Ryan.
Oh, you're aging yourself a little bit there,
Just
Ryan.
a little
Just
bit. I mean, that's a character, right?
Yes, Katara is one of the main female characters.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I
She's a
feel like
waterbender.
she doesn't bend air, she bends water.
Yeah.
There's like 4 things you can bend.
Mm-hmm.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water, earth, fire, and air.
Sweet.
The elements.
And the Avatar can bend all 4. That's the whole plot.
That's
of
the whole plot. I get it. He's special.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, speaking of parties, you're actually in charge of throwing a massive party in every region of SPO.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that, and what is it that we've kind of shifted our approach to doing events for fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
They were traditionally, banquets and kind of podiums and speeches and food and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But things have really shifted in the last year, and you've been kind of spearheading a lot of that. What's been your favorite part about playing that role, and what does that role look like nowadays?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like you said, we've changed the dynamic of our banquets, so now we have this late night talk show style program. And I like that you called it a party. I'm going to have to start calling it that
it's
now.
a big party.
Yeah, it makes my work sound more fun. I get to just plan parties. And what do I like most about it? I think I like that it plays into my different giftings and skill sets of like, I enjoy planning themed parties and other parties and hosting things. And I think I really have a charism for like environment building. So Late Night Live really allows me to like do that in my work, to build an environment for hundreds of people. And create something that folks will enjoy attending.
Love that. Love that.
Awesome. So like before you were working at the national office, you were a student at Seton Hall, and that's kind of how you got connected to SPO, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I straight out of high school knew that I wanted to go to a college that had a strong Catholic presence, and I'd heard about SPO because my oldest sister was one of the first students actually who lived in household in New Jersey. And so that's part of why I chose Seton Hall to get involved with SPO. And then, the rest is history from there.
So how did your life, like as a student and kind of like household and the pattern of life in there, like how does that look like the same and like different as like it does now in your daily life?
Yeah. Well, I lived in household for 2 years as a student. And then after graduating, moving to Minnesota, living with a group of random people, just kind of a regular living situation, I quickly realized that I needed intentionality in my life and accountability. So for the last several years, I have lived in a young adult household, which myself and a friend started because we were like, the benefits of living in household as a student, I realized I like still needed that in my adult life, and in my working life. And so a lot of like my day-to-day life is very similar to, you know, my time as a student living in household, because I still live in household.
And what are those kind of like things that you like are similar?
Yeah, I think the routine of our life together, we do morning prayer, household dinner. We do communal groceries, which is like a game changer, I think, as an adult. And really just like living with a mindset for your roommates. I like to say like, we don't just live adjacent together. We like are actually living life together, which is a pretty unique way of living, I think, in our culture today.
Do you think that, could you walk us into a little bit of a turning point, though, like in that experience, not like the initial conversion, I'll get to that in a second, or like full conversion, but when you kind of, after college, and you could kind of decide I could live adjacent to people, or I could, or really need to have something deeper, could you walk us into a little bit of that the pain of that discovery, or like what led you to really decide I want to keep living this particular way of life and I have to choose it and kind of make it happen? Can you walk us into a little bit of that frustration or pain that you were experiencing?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was anything like profound or like this was a very distinct event that happened that caused that shift, but realizing as I've gotten older and like become a more aware of who I am and having better knowledge of myself, realizing I am very prone to apathy and laziness. I am just naturally a lazy person, and realizing like I don't want to be a lazy person in my spiritual life, in my faith, and in my relationships. And so I started thinking through like, what are ways that would challenge me outside of that laziness and that apathy, and started bringing me back to living in household as a student and thinking like, okay, that like really challenged me outside of my apathy. And yeah, I like need that on like a daily basis, not just like in my like bi-weekly small group or the like large group young adult events that I go to, but like really having people who are calling me onto virtue in like just the routines of daily life when I don't want to wake up in the morning and I don't want to like love the people that I'm with. Yeah, always knowing that I'll have people with me who are going to challenge me.
You grew up in a strong Catholic family, and yet there was a point, though, I'm guessing, where it wasn't just like your parents' faith or your family's faith, but it was yours. Whether it was in college or after college or before college, like when did God become real? It went from like, this is somebody else's deal to this is my deal. And what happened around that?
Yeah. I think God has always been real to me, but not necessarily personal, would be the distinction I would use there. And that turning point for me was definitely in high school. I went to a very devout school, and just realized very much like my need for the Lord and how much he cared for me personally and uniquely and individually. And so I think in that and the different experiences of high school and hurts I experienced from friendships and things like that, a turning to the Lord. And in that turning, you're like, oh, he like actually cares about me personally. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're invested and involved in Emmaus. And that's from the Bible. you lived in Israel. No, I'm just kidding. What is that? And because this sort of young adult life, this post-college Christian life, happens, but it's in the context of this committed community as well. What is Emmaus?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's funny because Emmaus in high school for us was like you would go on Emmaus walks with people, which was basically like you just got assigned a random person in your class and you had to like go have a heart to heart.
Like that was in high school.
Yeah, that was in high school. So that's not what Emmaus is now.
It was guys and girls. They were like...
Yeah, it was actually like speed dating, but...
No, seriously, I was joking. Was it co-ed?
No, it was not co-ed.
That would have been amazing.
High school speed dating, Emmaus walks. Yeah, but...
thing.
Yeah, Emmaus is our young adult group here, associated with sort of the Spirit community in Minnesota. And we have like different tiers of involvement. The part that I'm involved with is we're committed to small groups, which is every other week. And then we meet in what we call our koinonia groups for formation with like a group of 4 to 5 small groups. So it's on a smaller scale as we've gotten larger. And then once a month we meet all together and have Lord's Day with the like 100 plus young adults who are involved in the cities here.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. So a gift that you've been to me is just like a sister, and you have like, I know, a very deep passion for sisterhood. And you grew up with sisters, so you have that too. A big part of your life. And yeah, like even in your house, like just like welcoming of like women into your house, like you and the women who live there, like there's definitely like a presence of sisterhood and like a gift there too. So yeah, I guess like what is how like has that become like important for you? Like how has that been like something that you've been like focusing on in your life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've just, as I've gotten older and older, I'm ancient now. No, I've just realized the value and necessity of female relationships in my life, but not just like on a superficial level, like needing people to hang out with, but like on a deeper level of like I need people who I can share my life with and who I know can like speak into it with love and care, and like will understand, you know, my experience because they are also women living life. I also just like love people, and I'm definitely an extrovert, so like want to live with as many people as possible. So I think, you know, just trying to surround myself with other women, has been something that's been important to me. I don't know if that really answered your question.
So I'm curious though. So some people have described community as having 3 kinds of effects in our life. It's sandpaper. Have you ever heard that?
Mm-hmm. Sandpaper ministry, yeah.
A mirror. So sandpaper kind of rubs the rough edges off. It's a mirror. It kind of brings you to yourself. It kind of somehow, community can be something of a mirror to kind of show you yourself. And then I've heard it like a flashlight, where it kind of digs deeper into kind of dark areas that we may not want to uncover. Mm. Do any of those analogies kind of resonate with your experience of sisterhood in particular?
Yeah. All of them.
Choose one.
I think that the sandpaper one definitely is what is sticking out most currently. And I think is really relevant in like living in household, because, you know, you're experiencing sisterhood like on a heightened scale, you know, and being in the nitty gritty of daily life, there's a lot of sanding down of myself and my flaws and my preferences, and in the attempt to try and love the sisters in my life better.
Can you think of one particular instance where you really did experience that sort of dying to self, or like it was likely even just a very simple kind of maybe even trivial example, or maybe it's a bigger deal, but does any particular experience come to mind of when that happened for you?
Well, I was thinking on my drive over here this morning about the idea of like deferring to others' preferences. That's something I heard in a formation talk in college and has just stuck with me. And I think that has been really indicative of, this kind of like sandpaper experience of like, it's in the little things. And I was thinking about how like the difference between saints and just like good
everybody else,
people, is that saints choose to, defer to other people's preferences, and like they are generous and loving people by like putting the other person's preferences above their own. And so there have been situations recently with my roommates where I've been like, I really would rather, this chair not live in our house.
That's real.
I don't like it, but like I know that someone else does really enjoy it, and that it like means something to them. So like it is not worth me bringing up that I don't prefer this chair, because like it actually loves them better to have it in our house. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of little ways of like rubbing out my own preferences and selfishness, just like trying to think of the other person and deferring to like what they need and what means something to them.
That's such a cool example, because very real. Like it's just now. Have you grown in love for that chair since that decision, or what's your relationship with that
What's
chair?
my relationship?
Let's be real.
We're still on rocky ground. But,
slow burn.
This chair is definitely someone that I'm just living adjacently to.
No deep relationship there.
That's great. I mean, but again, it sort of points out the truth that holiness, love, gets really, really practical. And I'm guessing, Emma, like, hey, you're married now.
I'm married
You're
now.
no longer Emma Freilich, Mrs. Farina.
Yes.
Same initials.
We got to celebrate that. I'm sorry, we should have celebrated that at the beginning, but
Someone bring out the wedding cake.
I imagine you're experiencing those kinds of the sort of death to self and preferences and that sort of thing too.
Especially like living with a man.
Yes,
It's
a very
different.
different experience. Yeah, I'll give a practical example. Something I noticed is I always fold the hand towel when I hang it up. And after he uses it, he like will unfold it and then hang it back up. And it just like, I like mentioned it one day. I was like, I've noticed after you use it, it's always unfolded. And
I've noticed.
And he was just like, yeah, because I used it. And I was like, okay. It's just like a little thing.
So did you say any more? Or just leave it?
No.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You didn't assert.
It's just the two of us there. It doesn't like nobody else is going to see it.
Now, okay. So when the first guest comes over, and
I will fold it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's like, a generous way of loving your husband.
Yeah, it's
even
like
though
super
it's silly
simple.
and seems kind of stupid to other people. You're like, it's still generous.
Yeah.
Well, and
It
there's
does no harm to the house to that our
Amen.
preferences.
That's so true. And I mean, people talk about, how do you roll the toothpaste, or which way is the toilet paper roll or whatever. And how do you put the hand towel back?
It's true.
That's another way. The toilet paper.
There's a right way and a wrong way?
No,
or-
in this last year, I've really made a conscious effort. When the toilet paper runs out, I'm going to change it immediately
Yes,
because
here we
that
go.
loves my roommates.
Amen.
And it's really silly and stupid, but it's an easy way to love the people that I'm with. Changing the toilet paper
So
roll.
practical. That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Something that I know when I was like living with a bunch of women that was like a very like impactful decision was for Lent one year. Just like I decided I'm going to wash all the dishes in the sink whenever I'm like washing my own, just like whatever is left. I think having that disposition of like, I'm doing this for the women to like help, you know, our like living situation was just like a way that, you know, you're not in your mind, you're not like grumbling as you're like washing the dishes. You're like, no, actually, like I'm choosing to do this to like love them. And then actually it benefits everyone because it's like a cleaner kitchen, you know? So I think,
Yeah, like it makes it easier to accomplish unsavory tasks when you know you're doing it out of love for another person, as opposed to just like, I have to accomplish this.
Yeah, or I have to do this. I'm frustrated. I'm bitter. I'm resentful. And I mean, living, again, not just, certainly marriage isn't life of two adjacent people. I mean, I'm sure there are many marriages that's where it kind of goes. That's not sort of God's ideal or a Christian ideal for marriage. And for you, it isn't just about living adjacent. I mean, you mentioned even all those things that you do as a part of the community, the small groups, the large group gatherings. That's a lot. That's obviously in addition to your sacramental life in the church as well, and weekly mass and confession and, you know, other kinds of retreats and things. And so you're living this really full life, not simply adjacent to others, but really with others. If you were going to give one piece of advice to somebody in college or just out of college around the spiritual life, or around some kind of spiritual commitment, what would that advice be?
many things.
I know. Yeah, a kind of turn of phrase that I like to use is invest, invite, initiate, or participate. And yeah, I think that is the best advice I can give for like entering into community life and just like trying to run after your faith and the spiritual life in a very practical, tangible way. Of like investing in where you find yourself planted, in your local church, in a young adult group, and then inviting people just like into the regular I can't think of the word.
Just like your daily life.
Yeah, just like your daily life. That might be like, I have to eat dinner. Great, I'm going to invite someone to eat dinner with me, just like in my home. Simple ways of investing in relationships as well by invitation, and then initiate and / participate, like initiate things, do some stuff and invite people to be a part of it. And if you don't have the capacity to initiate, because many of us don't, depending on the seasons of our life, the busyness of our work, maybe we might have social anxiety or something that makes it more difficult to be an initiator, then participate instead. If someone gives you an invitation, an opportunity to do something, instead of like, for me, choosing laziness and just wanting to like be home because it's hard to get out in the winter in Minnesota and to bundle up. But it's important to participate, and that like really builds a life and makes it easier, I think, to, just like run after the Lord.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, Hannah, it's been awesome to have you. So we're going to end on a kind of funny note. We're going to ask you some hot seat questions, so get ready.
Saucy.
Make us laugh.
First thing that comes to mind. All right. First is the weirdest food combo that you love.
Caesar salad pizza.
Ooh.
All right, I'm going to make it and
Caesar
bring
salad
it in.
pizza?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, so good.
What
Do you still do red sauce?
So I worked at an Italian restaurant in high school in New Jersey, and this was a thing that they did, and I switched it up and put Caesar salad on it. So good. So it's just like pizza dough, red sauce, you cook that, and then you take it out of the oven when it's done, and meanwhile you make Caesar salad. You like chop up the lettuce really finely, and then you mix it all together and you pour it over top of the pizza and red sauce.
Because you don't cook
like
that.
she'll have
Because
to
you never
make
want
it
to
Yeah,
cook
you don't
lettuce.
want to cook the lettuce.
Yeah.
It sounds gross, but people try it and they're won over.
Does it get kind of, is it just on top of it? It feels like
Yeah.
it would just fall off.
No, I mean, like, there's bread under it.
Pizza's bigger
supporting
in
it.
New Jersey.
It is kind of messy
Okay.
sometimes. But, I mean, you think about it, like, you go to an Italian restaurant and you, like, get pasta and red sauce and a side of bread and then also a Caesar salad usually
Just
on the
like
side.
just
So
putting it
it's
all
like,
together.
Yeah, you're just eating it all at once.
Weird. Like
just-
it though.
yeah,
I should try it.
We just had it for my birthday dinner.
You're committed. That's awesome. Tell us, next question, your strangest, we're sticking with a strange theme maybe here, your strangest, most recent dream, or maybe the most recent dream you even remember.
Yeah.
Give us all the gory details,
Oh
please.
goodness. It's kind of short, but essentially, my sisters were staying with me recently, and one of them was in my room on an air mattress, and my bed frame is really squeaky. It's kind of annoying. And I heard this dripping outside of my window, and so I kept like checking to see what it was. And so my bed was moving a lot and squeaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna wake up my sister. And then, like, do you ever have those like half dreams where you're like kind of awake, but you're still asleep and dreaming? So I think that's what happened with this dream. I like fell asleep after all of that happened. And then I had this like panic moment of like, I gotta be quiet. I can't move around very much in my bed. A, because my sister's here and I might wake her up, but also because one of my male friends, who shall remain nameless, is also sleeping over under my bed. Like it's a bunk bed, but he's just like sleeping on the floor under my bed, and I gotta be quiet because the squeakiness of my bed might wake him up.
Dude, that had so when you woke up, did you feel relieved that
there wasn't a man under my bed?
Yes.
Yeah. I woke up and was like, our brains come up with the wildest things.
So bizarre.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Who was the most famous person that you've ever met?
Vance Joy.
Oh,
You know, the artist?
musician.
Yeah.
He's good.
Is he
Yes.
in Avatar? I don't know who Vance Joy is.
No.
Sorry.
Very different.
Do you know the song Riptide? We'll play it for you
I
later.
need help.
He's got a lot of ukulele. He's Australian.
Sweet.
We went to a concert and we were in the front of the mosh pit and they handed out like these things. And it was like an invitation. Yeah, there he is. An invitation to like meet him after the show.
Fun.
But only one of us could go. So my friend went and I had to wait outside.
What was that like meeting him?
It is
Like, was he cool or was it like,
yeah, he was cool, chill. It's always kind of awkward. I don't know what to do. I'm just like, hey, what are we talking about in
Music's
the
great.
5 seconds? But the fun fact. Sorry.
quadruple fun?
Yeah, it wasn't that fun, but I just stuttered a little bit. We had a deck of dose cards, which for those of you out in the audience who don't know, Dose is the sequel to Uno.
Oh.
Oh, I've never played.
It's kind of complicated. So we had that with us because we played it like while waiting outside to get into the venue. And he was like giving out autographs when we met, and we didn't have anything for him to sign except for these Dose cards. So I have an autograph from Vance Joy on a Dose card.
That's awesome.
He also put a smiley face on mine and not my friend's, and he was a little salty about it, but I was like, I'm a woman, so
Smiley
he probably
face.
was like, yeah, we'll do a little extra for you.
It's Vance Joy. I got to check him out.
Yeah, he's great.
Keep my eye on him too. Okay.
Very entertaining show.
Last hot seat question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer other people to text or call you just directly, just out of the blue, to just like random, you're all of a sudden your phone's ringing? Which do you prefer?
I think text. I'm not opposed to calling.
It doesn't creep you out? Like, yeah, what are you doing? You're calling my phone.
Yeah, it depends who it is.
Ah,
Sometimes, yeah. I have learned like one of my guy friends is prone to calling. And the first like 2 times that he called me, I was like, Why is he calling me?
Yeah, there definitely are. I think that's true. I think there definitely are people. There's text people, and then there's a few, a smaller percentage, who just call, and that's kind of their vibe.
You're a call guy.
No, text. Oh my gosh.
I've definitely been
Got that wrong.
prone to, someone calling and being like, I'll let it go. And then I text them immediately after.
Well, I think for me, part of what it's become is, I think back in the day, like I grew up with landlines, like every child of the 80s.
We also
We're
grew
there
up with
too. Don't worry. We're
landlines.
not that young.
90s babies also had landlines.
Okay,
And
I
we had
get it.
rotary
I get it.
phones.
So, like, you could just call a home phone, and it was, it was so like right now. You call me, and I'm like, I can't answer. How do you know that I'm not in a podcast? I mean, like, just stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what I think has changed.
It's so rude of the other person to assume I'm available.
Of course it's not. But it's just a funny way in which you really have no idea. I guess I probably overrelate to that. Like, where in the world is this person that I might be?
Where in the world is Carmen San
But I guess I
Diego?
can't worry about how they keep track of their do not disturb and other sort of settings on their phone.
Yeah.
So
I think
anyway.
part of why I don't prefer call is because I leave my phone on silent all the time. So if someone calls me, I usually miss it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they, if they don't leave a voicemail or text after, you're like, I don't know if I should call you back or not.
Dude, I love it. So Hannah, thanks for coming into the studio with us here today. It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's cool to be on the other side of the glass today.
I know. People walking by, like, wonder what they're doing in here.
I'm famous for once.
Hannah Quense is the most famous person I've ever met.
Is that true?
No.
It is now.
So anyway, thanks so much for being here. And Emma, Farina, Mrs. Farina,
Yeah.
you're married.
I'm married.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
We are All My Life, SPO's podcast. This is so much fun. So great to be here. People can check us out on YouTube because that's where we're going to be on all of the podcast platforms. I'll see you next time.